This meeting is being recorded.
Good morning, everyone. Warm welcome from beautiful Vienna. It's a bit cloudy today, so we are trying to bring as much, as much warmth and sunshine to our lives. So as you see, I'm wearing a colorful outfit today. I'm wearing the crown from the recent Flower Flow workshop that we did with the Madita Verein just a couple of days. And today's, it's the Making It in Austria YouTube channel. I'm your host, Adela Mehijanic, and I have a guest today, a very special guest, as all of my guests are, and they are indeed special, doing what, creating impact in the communities, building up their own businesses, supporting where they can, and being so generous, sharing their experiences of starting in Austria. So today is Rebecca Spanos, the private chef. It says the private chef. So Rebecca, warm welcome to us this morning.
Thank you so much, Adela. I'm so happy to be part of Making It in Austria. I think it's a really amazing channel, and I've learned so many things through listening to the other videos and podcasts that you did. Also, special shout out to Laura and Estefania, who are also part of it. So yeah, I'm very, very happy to be here.
Yo, thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you, and thank you for reaching out. So thank you for reaching out. I love, I'm always looking for the guests, and I love when you find me. So, and I love sharing your stories. So we have, as with everyone, so just a little bit of time, as we could, I'm sure, talk for at least a day. So let's start with the, Rebecca. So who's Rebecca? Tell us a little bit more about yourself. I read your bio, as I just mentioned, and I loved it. There's so much to unpack.
Amazing. Thank you very much for that. So I'm Rebecca Spanos. I'm a private chef and recipe developer in Vienna. You may know me as one of the co-founders of NIWA, the Network of International Women in Austria, which is an NGO and nonprofit that was created in July 2021. And we've been growing in Austria ever since. Also, shout out to our fantastic team for that. I would say I'm quite a curious, independent, and very, very, very determined individual. So if I see something I like or that I want to do, I usually put my mind straight to it and most of the time achieve it. And so for many years, I've wanted to become a private chef, work within sustainability, and share my passion for food with everybody, specifically vegan and vegetarian cooking, because I think in general, as a whole, as a society, we tend to forget certain things, and we tend to maybe not appreciate other things as much as we should. So what I'm planning to do with my business is really trying to bring back the emotions that come with food and with cooking and with ingredients and all of that. I moved to Vienna 4 years ago after studying international management and modern languages at the University of Bath. I moved to Vienna because during my university time, I was with my partner. We were doing long distance for several years. And when I was visiting Vienna, this might be funny to some people, but I thought it was a very international, very welcoming, very friendly city. And so I thought, what better place should I go to than Vienna? So I moved during peak COVID times in June 2020, which was also fun. And then I discovered, oh, actually, maybe Vienna is like quite international, but not as much as I thought. And the people are definitely friendly, but not as much as I thought. So everything is quite different when you're a tourist, because even though I was visiting about 6 or 7 times a year, I wasn't staying long and I wasn't really interacting with people in German at the time. Well, these are all lessons that I learned since moving. So yeah, it's been fantastic. It's been a learning curve, many growth opportunities, many networking opportunities since, and I can only recommend for people to move to Austria and specifically Vienna from my particular experience.
Well, there was a lot of it that I want to unwrap, Rebecca.
Great.
First of all, so shout out to amazing Estefania and Laura that you have just mentioned. So, girls, if you're watching, we love you. Second thing is, I believe in the bio you mentioned your horoscope sign. And
Yes.
I'm mentioning this if you can share around that. Because you're the first one. So you're my 94th guest or 95th guest
Oh my
on
God.
the YouTube channel. And I think you were one of the first or the only one who mentioned it specifically in the bio. So we might have discussed with one of the other guests on the show, but we did not have it in the bio. So that's why it's really and you're born in Italy, right? And the origins and the languages that you speak, and so very, very, very international. And so what's the horoscope sign, Rebecca? And tell me, what does it mean? So I'm not the best person to talk about, but I learn quickly.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for asking. So I think I got into horoscopes because driving to school in Italy with my mom. You have to know that in Italy, the radio shows, they like to talk a lot. So there's usually more talking than music, unlike in other countries. And one of my favorite things to listen to were people's horoscopes on the way to school. And so I started getting into it, and some people believe in it, some people don't. I choose to believe that you do get some character traits from your star sign, and mine is the Sagittarius. So in general, Sagittariuses, they're born in December. Actually, my birthday is on Wednesday. And, and we tend to be very curious, very independent, kind of like explorers of the world. We also tend to be quite honest and direct, which I definitely see in myself. So sometimes I think, for example, oh, I'm smiling the whole time, I'm so happy about this, whatever is happening. And then, because I genuinely am, and then I see pictures and I'm like, and this is my genuinely happy face, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I need media training because I have no idea why my face and my emotions are not collaborating as I want them to. But but thanks to my star sign, I think, and also my very dynamic upbringing, because I was raised in Italy by a Croatian mother and a Greek father.
Wow.
And I have a British passport, which is important because Brexit. Well, I mean, important. Yeah, challenging.
We know.
Yes. So all of that together, mixed with this determination from the star sign and everything, has made it quite possible for me to achieve many of the goals that I've set myself. And so I also wanted to come on here to tell people, like, you can definitely follow your dream. And it's quite funny, actually, because the other day I was setting up my website, and it asked me for my personal email. So I put on my personal email because after you do that, you can get your domain and create your personalized email. And when I logged into wix.com, which is the website that I use, I found my little blog post website that I had created in 2014.
Wow.
So 10 years ago, and it was called Rebe's Kitchen, and I wanted to upload recipes to share with people, because at the time Instagram was not so big. I personally wasn't allowed a Facebook account, so I couldn't share on there, and I thought, okay, maybe a website would be good. And now 10 years later, it finally happened. I didn't use the same template as 10 years ago because things change. But yeah, it's very funny. Life is really funny and has many great opportunities. So I think that's something that's very important to remember. Yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. I think I know at least one more Sagittarius. She's turning 12 this week. On the 5th, I believe she's born on the 5th, 5th of December, and she was born in right before we decided to move to Austria. So back then we were neighbors in
That's
Sarajevo. So my husband and I moved in 2000, September 2013 to Vienna, and she was right before that born, and we did spend quite a lot of time. And I do listening to you, I see many things that I see in her. And
oh,
the
thank
way
you.
she's like she plays violin, and she's super smart and curious. And what she also mentions about herself last time when we met, when we spent time over the summer, is that she's also patient. She
Mm,
enjoys, in a sense, that she enjoys things, the experiences that she's having right now. For instance,
yeah,
we had, I believe, an ice cream or something to ice cream or cookies at Stephansdom in Aida.
very nice.
He was sitting there and just having it, enjoying it, like really, and
Yeah,
having a cup of tea, having a
yeah.
12-year-old having a cup of tea, Rebecca.
I love
Like
that.
a
And I
cup of
think,
tea and her cookies, and she's like, yeah, taking all the time.
yes, it's so important. And it's also so important to like live with the emotions that you're
Yeah.
experiencing. And I don't know if anyone has watched Inside Out or Inside Out 2, but these are fantastic movies for both children and adults because they really
Mhm.
depict how emotions can affect you both in a negative and in a positive way. And something that I learned is to, maybe you're feeling upset one day and you end up crying or so, and that's totally fine. Like, let yourself cry for those 5 minutes, 10 minutes, take longer if you need, but like use those emotions and really feel them because we are one of the only species in the world
Mhm.
to be able to feel, to
Yes.
feel these emotions. And it's really important. And I really encourage more people to embrace the really positive emotions, but also perhaps the negative ones, because you might find out things about yourself that you didn't necessarily know before. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Thank you. I remember reading Brené Brown does a lot of work around ourselves, around
Mhm.
vulnerability. And I think a long time ago I read, because when we tend to think about emotions, we think of a couple of them or a few of them, up to 10. But I believe she was sharing about like 30 of them or 40 or 50 of them. It's like
Wow.
there's a palette of it. It is like
Yeah.
really, and then she's going deeper into that. I believe she wrote either a book about it or some of the research papers, or there was a podcast to find about the emotions that we experience. And as you said, they are important to embrace every one of them. Um, I have a girl, so she will be 4 years soon, and she's April kid,
Oh,
also very determined.
yes.
So yeah, I think I was born in a different time and
Mhm.
growing up in a different time, where and in an environment where emotions were not, they were, put aside, let's say, because it was more of survival mode than the thriving mode. So it's a
Mhm.
very different time and circumstances. But when you have a baby, when you have a girl, when you have a daughter, so and if you are conscious about living, about what you put in and out, it's like you have to. You have to really be very, very conscious about, and of course, we will have soon another child, so it's going to be a boy. So it's going to be also a different story to embrace the
Oh my
boy
goodness,
emotions.
congratulations.
Thank you. So I believe that, yeah, so something that I could not have, and I had to, consciously work on it later on as an adult, which is a very privileged thing to do, I believe.
Mhm.
But now becoming a parent, it gets you like really into thinking all that. So what you say, how you say every word, and all that matters, right? Really matters because they save it, it shapes them. So like really this
Absolutely.
empowerment that you ladies are doing at NIWA, and that you are supporting the communities, and that you are trying, you're building up something unique and making everyone feel, welcomed, heard, you know, included. So it's quite important. So I believe you girls are onto something. You ladies are onto something.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So, and I hope we do something together, or
Definitely.
with you for as a private chef. So tell me, so how does that work, Rebecca? So how what do you so you will do the recipes, or you will also organize, if we would say like next year we would like to have an event for the Making It in Austria community. So you would be able to create some of the, you know, things for us, or so how do you would like to, you know, how do you do that?
Exactly. So I have a couple of different branches within the business because I think there's so much work to be done in Vienna and in Austria specifically, because Austria has one of the biggest meat-eating
Yes.
populations in Europe.
Yes,
which
I was
is
surprised with the
fantastic.
schnitzel, number of schnitzels
Yes.
being eaten.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I've been vegan for 7 years now. So I had 1 year where I wasn't vegan when I visited Austria, and I tried a lot of different types of traditional food, which of course schnitzel, Jäger schnitzel, all kinds of things, which were very meaty. And then I decided to go vegan mostly for the animal welfare, but also for health-related reasons. I spoke to a couple of nutritionists who advised that it could be beneficial for example, acne, to incorporate a more plant-based diet. It also helped that I was a broke student at the time and I couldn't really afford so much meat. So everything together just made sense for me to go vegan. And then when I started, you know, living in Vienna, I didn't really have a job for the first couple of months, so I was cooking a lot. But eventually, once I had more money to go out and explore restaurants, I realized that if I went to a traditional Austrian restaurant and I wanted to eat something vegetarian or vegan, I couldn't even eat an Erdäpfelsalat because it was made with Rindsuppe, so with meat broth. And I thought, okay, this is kind of weird. A couple months later, I went back to the same types of restaurants and I saw that there were vegan options, but the vegan options were curries, which are amazing. They're so delicious, but the Austrian restaurants are not specialized in making curries, and they would be quite overpriced anyways, because I feel like in Austria, a lot of the meat substitutes are priced the same as meat, which is also kind of funny and weird. So I really wanted to tackle these issues. And I will be recipe developing for restaurants that could use a couple more vegan or vegetarian plates on their menu. Why? Because I'm definitely not the only vegan person in Vienna. I believe that in this year alone, we have the population of vegan and vegetarians has grown from 2 to 7% in Vienna alone. So you might think, okay, those are small numbers, but actually the increase is incredible. And there is definitely a lot of demand, but not enough supply for these types of restaurants or these types of recipes when you go out. So I would like to show the restaurants here how many more customers they would be able to get and receive and keep by using more plant-based foods. I'm not saying take meat off your menus completely. I'm saying, hey, what about trying this? Or have you ever thought that you could make an Erdäpfelsalat with Gemüsesuppe? You know, like very, very easy substitutes. So that's one part of the business. And the other part of the business, as you said, is a private chef. So this would be for mostly events. I would be very, very happy to come and help for Making It in Austria. But also if any other private clients would like someone to help them for their dinner parties or for any kind of business lunches, also companies, I'm more than happy to help there. So this is kind of what I would like to do. I will be sharing videos online on social media, on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, where people can find some recipe ideas. But I also really want to tackle all the really crazy ingredients that we have access to. I mean, people take loads of things for granted, but have you ever cut a lemon open and seen how beautiful it is and what it means to squeeze each part of a lemon? It's just amazing that these things grow from a little seed, then turn into a tree, and then you have fruit, which is delicious, that you can consume from this. And this is kind of something that I want to show the world, basically.
Beautiful. I was at I take our daughter Thursdays for a music class, and I realized, so since you're sharing about the lemon, about the apple, there was that Mozart composed an apple. So back in the days, Christmas was celebrated where you put these red apples on the trees.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of probably, the decoration came later on with the industrializations. My assumption is, so please, history teachers don't be too hard on me. But the point was that he opened up. So when you open up the apple and you see the seeds, and it creates a star, and within every stars, you have another little star or signs, and he created a song about it.
Oh,
Mozart, like there's like it, and it might be that today, because we have so many things, right? So the consumption is high, that you don't come to the point to appreciate it, because if I just look around myself, I see 25 things. So which thing should I start to appreciate?
Exactly.
And I'll try to find that song about that Mozart composed about the apple, beautiful apple. And we will think about that for sure, Rebecca. So what do we do next year for the community? So how maybe a few of us can create a place where you come and you can, we can try the tasty food. I do remember when I came to Austria. So I started working in 2014. So it was also a very different story with vegan and vegetarian. I think was okay-ish. The vegans had a harder time, because I had a colleague, Tanya. Hi, Tanya. And she was moving from vegetarian to vegan, and yeah, she didn't have many options, right? So the restaurants were slowly adopting things. And the other thing was, in the supermarkets, what you see now was not existing back then. So that's like 10 years ago. So it was a very different story. So you would have a small, tiny shelf or a couple of products over there, but that was it, and little by little. So now it's I think, some of these supermarkets and places have their own kind of, market line, or they collaborate and so on and so forth. So yeah, it's been a growing trend, as you said. And it's like for the last couple of years, I think for the future, we do tend at home, so we do eat meat, but limited. But we do tend to eat a lot of vegetables. And where I come from Bosnia, I grew up in a way that we all had our own garden. So that was nothing special. So that was nothing special. So like, we had land, of course. So we were living on a farm, so on a land. A village, so we all had our own garden. So everybody was producing what they need at least, and then sharing with the rest. So if I had good paprikas, then I would share, and I don't know, kind of exchange them for the potatoes or carrots or whatnot. Nowadays, even where I come from, so my brother continues and his wife, they have the garden, but less and less people have gardens, because they all went to the cities to work. And then you don't maintain the garden, or you just, believe that whatever you buy is better, or it's less expensive, like very cheap. You can buy paprikas for a couple of euros instead of you maintaining them for 3 months or so, taking care of them and so on. So there's a lot of, things to unpack around that, we live. I love what you're doing, so Mecca, and I hope we can, as you said, we'll do something together. with a couple of other ladies from the Making It in Austria. I'm thinking, so I'll put my thinking up to speed. So as
Great.
we are approaching, so anything else? So what else would we like to share with the Making It in Austria community? Maybe something about networking. I saw that
Yes.
that's your making connections with while eating an ice cream, or one ice cream for
Oh,
what is it called? So
yes.
maybe that's
I mentioned that. So one day I was thinking,
yes.
happens sometimes, and I thought, like, I really believe that people should talk to each other more. I grew up in Italy, but also, I visited Croatia a lot, and the sense of community is really there. Here, it was a culture shock when the neighbors didn't answer the doors. Now I realize that maybe it was because of culture, or maybe it was because of the GIS people, and people were traumatized, but no one was answering the door. And I really miss that feeling of, being able to knock on someone's door, ask for an egg, and receive one, or something like that. So that's why we created NIWA as well. But I was thinking we should be able to talk to each other much more. And an ice cream doesn't take very long to eat. Vegan ice creams actually melt a lot faster than normal ice creams because there's less protein in them, and they're made with more water. So you don't really need that much time. And I believe that I call it the ice cream test. I believe that you should be able to speak to anyone for the duration of an ice cream. It can be about anything. It can be about their life, your life, the weather, whatever. But you should be able to have this conversation with people. And if you're not able to stick to this conversation for more than the duration of an ice cream, which is 5 to 10 minutes, then they're not the right person to talk to. And that's fine. But we should try. So always keep an open mind. And about networking, so obviously there's the Network of International Women in Austria. And I think a lot of people hear a lot about networking and they don't know really where to start, or they think it's very, very professional based. But you can just go up to someone at an event and say, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. What brings you here?" Or, "Hi, I'm Rebecca. This is the first time that I'm here. Can you show me around?" Or, "Hi, I like your coat. It's very pretty." You never know who you're going to meet, how the conversation is going to go. And so many people are kind of in the same situation as you. So also a little bit scared of networking, that you just have to go there, be yourself. Think that the worst thing that could happen is someone says no to you. Like you never know about the possibilities that are out there until you try. And I say this because together with Estefania, we're taking a little founders trip to the North Pole in February. And I thought, how cool would it be to interview Mrs. Santa Claus? Because we always talk about Mr. Santa Claus, not so much about Mrs. Santa Claus. So I wrote a letter to Mrs. Santa Claus's PR team, and now we have an interview with her in February. So, I mean, you can't know until you try, and there will definitely be people that discourage you and say kind of negative things. But I would say if those people are not the kind of people that you would go to advice to, then you don't have to hear criticism from them, So try to find a good network, go out there, put yourself out of your comfort zone, maybe eat more vegetables, and find yourself a really good support system, because I came to Vienna by myself. I had my boyfriend, which was fantastic, because I can't even imagine how hard it must be with no one there. So try to grow yourself a little bit of a support system, and then everything should be fine. Those are my last advices. Yes.
Thank you, Rebecca. And those are our last minute on Zoom. So thank you everyone for staying with us, listening. So please, get in touch with Rebecca. Join their next event from NIWA, or if you're planning a party, so get, Rebecca as your private chef. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for listening, sharing, subscribing. Please help us get the great